next year.
What's next for the Celtics?
Well, I do think his outlook is really good.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to look at it. And I want to say this first. This loss, whether it would have been this round, which it was, or next round, or even maybe in the finals, but it's appropriate. And obviously the injury to Jason Tatum is not appropriate. I think the Knicks would have won the series had Tatum, when we watched the way it played out, even if he doesn't get hurt. They were legitimately up 3-1 with Tatum playing, so I think they would have won this series anyway. The reason I say it's appropriate is because these Celtics, and I've been consistent on this, they are not an all-time great team. And now, of course, everybody will say that, but even had they won it, I would have felt like they're not an all-time great team. They're built for this era. We're just hoisting up threes and playing hard defense, but they are not an all-time great team. And Nick, these are the teams that have repeated as champions. Obviously the Celtics in the 60s several times. But since then, the Magic Kareem Lakers, Isaiah Thomas Pistons, Jordan Bulls twice, 2 3-peats, Shaq Kobe Lakers, Kobe, Pau Gasol Lakers, LeBron Wade Heat, and Kevin Durant and Steph with the Warriors. The Celtics are not as good as any of those teams.
The closest would be...
And Tatum is not as good as any of the leading players on those teams. Now, Tatum,
that's fair.
He's a Hall of Famer already.
Yes.
We agree. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. Hall of Famer, all that. But he's not on the level of any of these guys.
The worst first option on any of those guys was Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Who's one of the 20 greatest players of all time. And the worst team of any of those teams was Akeem's Rockets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I think it's just because had they won,
yes,
we would have had to have this discussion.
Yeah, but
are they an all-time great team? Where's Tatum and this and that?
And I fervently believe, and I wish for a million reasons, most notably for Jason Tatum's reasons, but also for far less important just consistency of the discussion reasons, he hadn't gotten hurt.
Of course.
Because I believe in my bones they were losing this series with 3.5 minutes left in Game 4. When the Knicks had walked them down again, when it was the third time in 4 games the Knicks turned a 15-point deficit into a lead late in the game and were going to win, that then everyone would have acknowledged the reason they're not repeating like the historically great teams did is because they are not a historically great team. They were last year, over this 5-year stretch, they should have won a title, and they did.
Yep.
And that's, you know what I mean? It's in 2020, they got in the bubble to the conference finals. They lost to Miami. Now I think they would have gotten worked by the Lakers that year, but they came close-ish. 2022, they're up 2-1 in the finals. You know what I mean? They could have won that year. They didn't. Last year, or 2 years ago, pardon me, they have the 8 seed coming into their building for the conference finals, and they fall down 3-0. Last year, they win it. This year, they're the Vegas favorites for the conference all year. They should have won a title, and they did win a title. And I'm glad they won a title because this team, the next time Jason Tatum plays, if we assume he's going to miss all of next year, which I think he sadly will, is going to be so drastically different. And I don't think people have totally processed it. So, if you guys remember the tiers I did 2 months ago, and the Celtics tier was dynasty or deconstruction, and it felt, a little hysterical, but the point was this, if we put up the graphic. They are in a position salary-wise where, let me give you an example of what this means. And I know you don't like the accounting stuff, so I'll try to explain it. If they were to just trade Sam Hauser and leave everything else as is, it saves them $62 million because that $10 million costs them $50 in penalties and repeater tax and blah, 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 blah. But here is to me the really, and that's by the way with Horford gone because Horford's not under contract. Here is the scary part for Boston. If the goal is to save money, you have to trade guys to teams that can just absorb most of the contract. Like Drew Holiday's got 3 years, $100 million left on his deal. Trading him for $30 million of salary doesn't really accomplish that much. You also need guys with trade value, which is why begrudgingly Simmons today, and he doesn't want to do this. I don't want to misquote the guy, but he, got forced almost into discussing what a Jaylen Brown trade looks like. Because, again, sorry, if we can just put that up one more time, and I go to you, Wildes. Like, what trade value right now does Kristaps Porzingis have?
I would not trade Porzingis. I couldn't imagine it being lower.
Right. So
and to your point, Nick, the fact that you have to make the salaries match up is the problem. He's only got 1 year left. Would a team want that as a salary dump? But the
Celtics don't want to be on the receiving end of a salary dump where they get longer term. So, Drew Holiday, at his age, coming 34. Off this postseason, 3 years, $100 million left. I know they are going to be trimming salaries. It is not easy to find, and so if I were a Celtics fan, Wildes, I would just be hoping that some way, the next time Jason Tatum takes the court, Jaylen Brown and Derek White are still his teammates, even if everything else is gone.
That's what I'm
And I don't know if that's possible.
So this is what I think it was Bobby Marks on ESPN. For every $3 million spent on a player, it will cost them $25 million in additional tax penalties. That seems like
it's a hard cap
deal.
Without calling it a hard cap.
It's incredible.
So next year, do you think it's fair when Steph got hurt, the Warriors went from 57 and 25 to 15 and 50? That was the pandemic.
Well,
short
it was
year, right?
When Steph Durant left and Steph broke his hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so they lost both guys.
Yeah, but I'm viewing it as I view that in my brain as like the shut it down, Steph's not playing year. Tatum's not playing.
Right.
Is it a shut it down? They got Wiseman.
I think they're too good.
Yeah, there's no way they'll be that bad. They'll make the playoffs. They'll win a decent amount of games. They will.
I think the goals for next year are very confusing.
Well, look, Jaylen Brown's going to ball out. He's going to, obviously no player is going into a season thinking we're going to have a terrible year. We're going to lose, right? And so Jaylen Brown, his mentality will probably be, not that he's not glad
I'm going to show everybody.
But yeah, I'm the number one guy now for this season, and I'm going to show it. And then if Peyton Pritchard, he's thinking whether he starts or not, I got a bigger role. I'm telling that's how when a guy gets hurt, you don't want your teammates getting hurt. You really don't. But you're looking at it like this is an opportunity for me. My role is bigger. More shots for me. Derek White. He's thinking, okay, now I don't just have to be the defender and shoot here and there. Now I'm going to maybe go out and average 20 or close.
Okay.
So I think they'll be pretty good. They'll make the playoffs.
I think in order to execute what you're talking about, they would have to trade Jaylen Brown. Because I think that, and even then, in the East, with Missoula's coaching, which is good, and the regular season length of, we're going to shoot 100 threes. You're going to win. You know what I mean? Your floor, that Warriors team, it was KD left, Steph got hurt, Draymond was in and out, and Draymond was kind of punted the year. They had made 5 straight finals or 5 straight finals, and they were exhausted and whatever it was. That's not what the Celtics about to do. I don't think it's realistic.
You know that. They're not going to be terrible.
No, I know, but I think it's an odd.
It's an odd spot.
Year.
The flip.
Yeah, but there's no way you're not out there.
The other question is Tatum trying to keep out hope? I could be ready come the playoffs.
Do not.
He might be.
That would drive.
I'm sure that's going to be
what
the
his
carrot
goal
out
is.
there. Yeah,
the carrot out there, and so that's another reason he can't punt.
And his teammates may think that too. Let's just get in the playoffs.
I think that's unrealistic. I'm just saying he seems like such a maniacal worker, and even if it's only a 10% chance, doesn't that keep him motivated where it doesn't feel?
And it motivates the team.
But Durant was out for 500 plus days, and now there's a lot of talk. Ooh, Tatum's going to work so hard. It's like a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers-ness without the conspiratorial
I do think it was good that he got the surgery hours after the injury. It does seem like they say that helps, but it's still. I think you should punt on he should say, "I'm going to miss all next year." I just don't know if that'll be his.
Did somebody have an Achilles surgery scheduled that day? that got pushed?
Oh, because Tatum needed his.
Just like all of a sudden, just
I
the
think
world's
random
best
account-
doctor.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
like,
I mean,
hello?
it was.
I'll be there.
It was, and I'm not. There's the only silver lining, I guess, was that it happened in New York, so he didn't have to. If they're playing the Pacers and nothing against Indiana,
Yeah.
you didn't have to fly anywhere to go to where the best surgeon was.
What are you
or
saying
anything
about
like that.
Indianapolis?
Nothing. Listen. So Minneapolis is some of the best hospitals in the world. I know that. I'm just saying. I think
bad
New York.
karma, dude.
Cleveland's got
That
one
is
of the best
bad.
hospitals
Yeah,
in the world.
that's bad karma.
Okay, sorry. I'm just.
If you like stub your toe, you'll be Knicks are number 2, Wolves at 3, and then the Pacers at 4. Do you believe New York can win it all?
Absolutely. They have a chance to win it all. There's no question. I haven't done all the career numbers and everything, but they look like the most experienced team. Minnesota, maybe, obviously, but their best player is 23. The other guys might be a little older, but the Knicks are the most experienced team.
And the Minnesota guys' experience, who have the most experience, came with the Knicks.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not picking the Knicks to win it right now. I'm not saying they're going to win it. I'm just saying they absolutely can. If you're a Knicks fan, you have got to be feeling this is your best chance to win the championship since Patrick Ewing. Because when they went in 99, they had no chance. They were the 8th seed. It was a great run to get there. They're facing David Robinson and Tim
The
Duncan.
best chance, they have to win the title since they were up 3-2 on the Rockets in 1994.
So you got to be feeling great about it if you're in New York. But look, I think, I don't know when we're making our picks, but I think Indiana is going to be much tougher than a lot of people think. Some people acknowledge it's going to be a great series. The Pacers have played at a 59-win pace
for a long
over
time.
82 games. In this calendar year, in 2025, they've been at a 59-win pace. Obviously, that's better than the Knicks record for the 82 games. So the Pacers are, and both of them are gritty.
Yeah.
Like
There'll be some
they were
fights.
grittier than Boston, the Knicks. They're a gritty team. The Pacers are just as gritty as the Knicks. So I think this is going to be a great series. And then if you get there, I would pick OKC or Minnesota. I'm feeling like over the Knicks if that's a finals matchup.
Also, if those 4 teams, we don't have to put up the graphic again. We know who they are. Oklahoma City, Minnesota, New York, and Indy.
Yeah.
We are guaranteed to have what is a true rarity in the NBA, which is the unequivocal, undeniable best player on a team be a guard. People got used to it because Jordan was not a lot. You know what I mean? It's Steph, Isaiah, Jordan. I'm leaving one. D Wade, if you think he was the unequivocal best player on that team, the Heat. But that's really it. It's wing. You know what I mean? It was for a long time in NBA history. It was centers, and then it became these dynamic wings. And all 4 of these teams, their best player, without a doubt, is the guy who handles the ball all the time. Their guard. I think they definitely can. I think that going into the playoffs, I really liked their starting 5, and now I really like their top 7, and that's really important if you're going to try to win 4 rounds. I think Deuce is just with it. They had Shamet, who's the other guy off the bench, Campaign, and Deuce. They needed one of those 3 to be like, hey, can we play you 9 minutes a game in the playoffs? And Deuce is like, you can play me, and I'll even have a chase down block in one of the games. And then Mitch has been great. And before we move on to the next thing, I'm just going to give you a hat tip to you, Kevin Wildes, because this should be your take, but you inspired it to me.
Wow.
If there was ever a player in recent NBA history who has enough tough guy credibility, kind of macho credibility, and the absolute is beloved by the fans and they will support it, that he could say, you know what, I'm busting out the underhand free throw.
Oh, yeah.
It would be Mitch. Where I don't think people would laugh at him. I don't think it would. The whole reason we've said guys shouldn't do it is because it's embarrassing and there's whatever. Like, I think Mitch, like, he plays such a tough style and is such a rugged player. And it is one of the things I noticed in the Celtics series, which was concerning for me for New York moving forward. The hack of Mitch got so in his head. Go back and watch some of Mitch's rebounds the last 2 games against Boston. His offensive rebounds, gets the rebound, immediately turns to pass. Doesn't even think about going up for a putback dunk because he doesn't want to get fouled. And so, like, But he's been excellent for them. So I will give my pick for the series. I think they are beating the Pacers. I think it'll be a good series. I think the Pacers are really good, and I think they can win the championship.
Brew, when are you making your official pick? The Warriors, the Nuggets, and the Celtics. What is your reaction to the parity of the champions?
I've said for a long time that I think, really throughout my career, I think dynasties are best for the NBA.
I agree.
Because the 80s with the Bird Celtics and the Showtime Lakers, then the Jordan era, like those, the 80s was the golden era that brought the league back. Then Jordan took it to the stratosphere, and Shaq and Kobe were great. The Heatles were good. Like, everybody likes these dynasties. And on top of that, the worst decade for the NBA was the 70s, when they had 8 teams win championships and nobody ever repeated in that decade. But I gotta be honest, these playoffs have been fantastic. And I'm liking this parity. It feels like, now obviously you have the Chiefs in the NFL, but outside of the Chiefs, it kind of feels like it could be anybody. You know, I mean, is it Baltimore, Buffalo, Houston?
It's the
somebody
same,
from
like,
the
7 or 8
NFC.
teams, it feels like.
And I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's all of the NBA, but this, I kind of like this wide open. I feel like these playoffs have been like opening up a gift, and you have no idea what's in it. And so, we've got what, a 3 seed, a 4 seed, a 6 seed, and then the 1 seed in OKC. So I guess we'd have to see it over longer years, but I like it right now. And what I'm interested in, Nick, is what superstar, if one does, grabs hold of this era and says it's mine by winning multiple rings, or ends this era and a guy that hasn't won yet and runs off and wins a few.
So I'm glad you kind of put an exclamation mark on your point with that, because it leads to what I'm going to say, which is some of the narrative going into this postseason was, man, is this the end of the last breath of the LeBron, Steph, KD era? And that's pretty clear. Like, LeBron has a chance to win a championship because they got Luka.
Right.
Whereas Steph might have a chance to win a championship if they trade for Giannis. Those guys at this point need to be someone else with them. I'm watching these playoffs and I'm like, did the LeBron, Steph, KD era last so long that it is ending simultaneous to the championship hopes of our last 3 league MVPs? Embiid, Giannis, Joker. Those are the last 6 MVPs, because we haven't announced this one yet, are those 3 guys. I think we are at a point where that generation, those 3 guys, all of them, if they want to win a championship, have to leave where they are. Embiid, pretty clearly, and
I don't even know.
Embiid's a different thing because of his injury
anymore.
Giannis, we're going to talk about later, might be leaving. Joker, we were talking about could they trade for all those guys? Now 2 of them obviously, and so maybe I shouldn't even include Embiid. Those 2 guys got championships and MVPs and all of it. But I now look at it like that. They still might be the 2 best players in the league, but they're not competing for championships now. I don't see any way, if they stay where they're at, they're going to next year or the year after. Meanwhile, it's like Shea and Ant, Jalen Brunson.
Teams are only getting better.
Right, those guys. And so it's like the Steph, KD, LeBron era is sunsetting, along with that next era being like, okay, we're still great, but our teams aren't anymore, and these guys coming up. And Tatum would be in this group, but he got hurt. To me, it's an interesting period, because the reason we haven't had back-to-back champs is because the back-to-back champs should have come from Joker or Giannis. That's, you know what I mean? Or repeat. The 2 best guys in the league who have been MVP or second or third every year.
Golden State wouldn't after they won.
Yeah, it should have been one of those guys, and the injuries and bad luck and bad performances and teams, they couldn't do it.
And look, that collective bargaining agreement, whether you like it or not, it has worked as far as creating the parity. It's been part of the reason.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.